there are several aspects of that airport that make people kind of scratch their head and think, hey man, what's going on with this stuff? Quote, the granite marker depicts the square and compasses symbol of the Freemasons and the names of 2 Grand Lodges and their Grand Masters. Hello everybody, I want to welcome you to another edition of the Uncensored Pilgrims. I'm Marty McLain, along with the irrepressible
Paul Price.
And Paul, you'll always be irrepressible.
Thank you.
I mean, it doesn't matter
Marty.
where you go, and we need to have some merch with some
Yeah.
Mr. Irrepressibility.
Well, we recently got congratulated for popping over the 200 subscriber mark.
Yes, but we're still in the basement.
Yes.
And we're still audio only, no
Yes.
video.
Yes.
And maybe one day we may make that big leap. Now, Paul, we're going to talk today about a very interesting topic because it's a conspiracy topic.
Just like last week.
Just like last week.
What did you think about last week's?
Well, I really like the Black Cube. I learned a lot as we did some research for it, and obviously you were a lot more schooled on the Black Cube.
Do you think we're going to come across any Black Cubes in the Denver airport?
That would be a good topic of conversation. If somebody can find a Black Cube in the Denver airport, you're probably going to be engaged in time travel. I mean, it's going to be something big. It's just like putting instant coffee in a microwave.
Do you think you'll be in the Denver airport anytime soon?
No. I've looked at the prices.
Okay.
It's pretty expensive to fly from Atlanta to Denver.
Uh-huh.
That's what I was thinking, man, if it's a cheap flight, I'd even go not Value Jet, but Spirit Airlines.
I would think Delta would be cheapest just because it's the Atlanta hub,
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting.
Actually, Denver, the airport at Denver is the third, from what I can tell, it's the third busiest airport in the world. And it's the largest land-wise airport in the United States. It's 1.5 times the size of Manhattan.
But it's not cheap, huh? Not cheap
No,
to get
I
over
didn't. And I didn't know if Spirit Airlines or Frontier, one of those,
budget ones.
Yeah, one of those budget ones where it's fire extinguisher under every seat, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't know if they fly.
The
there
way
or
the
not.
news is these days, would you really want to be flying one of those?
No, well, it may be safer than one of those new Boeings.
Well,
aren't they having some trouble with some of those planes?
That's what the news states. That's what the news states.
That's what I hear and that's what I read. But the Denver International Airport, I didn't know there was anything big about the Denver International Airport until just about 3 or 4 months ago. I heard somebody mention it. And I was like, what's up with the Denver airport? I didn't know that there was something going on with the Denver airport. I'd never heard of that in my life.
Just like the Black Cube topic, it's another one of those topics that back in the conspiracy golden age of YouTube, you would hear quite a bit about it on YouTube.
Actually,
so that's where I heard about it.
The former wrestler and Minnesota governor, Jesse Ventura, did a episode on he had some show about conspiracies, I think, around 2010.
Okay.
Around 2010, and he did an episode on the Denver International Airport and some of the conspiracy theories associated with it.
Yeah.
Well, It's a weird setup, the way they have things. And, airports are a place you really don't want to be a lot of times. Living here in Atlanta.
It's one of those places like the doctor's office that you have to go, but you don't really want to be there. You want to get out as quick as you can.
Yeah, Atlanta is the busiest airport in the world. Atlanta's, it's a massive airport, busy. And, every time I go to Atlanta, most every time, this last time was a little bit better. But, you go in there and you go through security, and it's like, hey, get your shoes off. Go this way. Put your bag down. Put it in there. And everybody's, you feel like you're being taken into the county jail or something.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to be yelling at you, and they're trying to move you along. And I can understand that you got to get people from point A to point B, and everybody's got, on a tight time schedule there. But customer service-wise and, friendly-wise, Atlanta may not be the friendliest airport, but they do get their job done. And I don't see any conspiracy theories associated with Atlanta, but I do hear a lot of complaints.
Yeah.
But no conspiracy theories. But with Denver, there are several aspects of that airport that make people kind of scratch their head and think, hey, man, what's going on with this stuff?
Yes.
Actually, the New York Times, back April 29th, 2023, they had a headline in an article. It says, quote, "Why is the Denver airport so weird? A towering, terrifying demon horse isn't even the weirdest part."
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a headline. May 7th, 2021, from the Visit Denver site. It's denver.org. They talk about the myths and the legends behind the Denver International Airport. It says, quote, "From lizard people and space aliens to secret underground bunkers and a cursed horse, Denver International Airport has been a magnet for myths and legends since it opened in 1995.
Okay.
In our culture, and even I think the History Channel has run some stuff on the Denver International Airport. And of course, YouTube is pretty full of videos and commentaries on the Denver International Airport.
Well, a lot of that stuff on YouTube has wound up getting buried over the recent years. It's just, some of those conspiracy channels and conspiracy videos, I think they've done things to try to make those harder to find and or outright deleted them. So
yes. So here, let's start out with some of the crazy things that are associated with the Denver International Airport. Well, when you first get there, you are greeted by a 32-foot tall horse. It's made of fiberglass, and that's blue. It's got red demon eyes.
yeah. Do they actually glow?
I don't know if they do or not, but they're red, so I would think, wouldn't they have to somehow
It seemed like I remember seeing a
have
video
a glint to them?
or not, maybe not a video, but a picture I thought I saw of the eyes actually glowing red.
Well,
but,
they may glow. But it was made by Luis Jimenez. It was supposed to be called Mustang, but the local people call it Blucifer because it looks like a demon horse.
yeah.
It's 32 feet tall. It's made of fiberglass. And when Jimenez was making it, part of it fell off and it severed an artery in his leg and killed him.
That's crazy.
So this statue of this horse, this blue horse that's referred to as Blucifer, as you come into the airport, when the guy who was making it, part of it fell off and severed an artery and killed him.
Yeah.
So that statue killed its maker. That's kind of a little bit odd.
How many statues can you say that about? Very few, right?
Yeah, probably one that I know of.
Yeah.
When it was being built, it was built in lieu of Stapleton Airport there in Denver. Many said that Stapleton Airport, there was nothing wrong with it at the time. It was a good airport. But they go to build this huge, massive airport outside of town. Like I said, it's 1.5 times the size of Manhattan.
Wow.
And somebody has commented about the sheer volume of dirt that they removed in order to build the underground tunnels and all that. We'll say something about that in a second. It's unusual, the amount of dirt that they actually moved. It was 2 years longer building than it was supposed to be, and it was several $1 billion more than it was supposed to be.
Okay.
And so that has led many people to say, hey, there's a bunch of underground tunnels down there. Well, there are underground tunnels. They say it's for the luggage, but it doesn't work anymore. Some of the luggage system down there, it doesn't work like they wanted it to. They'll say that, there's like 1,000 workers down there at a time underneath in all the tunnels.
Uh-huh.
And, even in Atlanta, we go
Atlanta has a similar
got
thing.
Underground tunnel in Atlanta.
We have,
so we're
we
familiar
have the
with
plane
that.
train.
Right. And so... that's part of the conspiracy theory. Why did it take so long? Why did it cost so much? Why was so much dirt taken out of the earth?
Okay.
And some people think that it actually connects to the NORAD headquarters. It's like 70 miles or so away. They think Some people think there's an underground tunnel. Some people think that it's a continuation of government site, a COG site.
Okay.
And there's all types of stuff underneath, for people who are going to be in control when there's an establishment of the New World
the
Order.
Deep underground
military bases?
Military base?
It would have to be associated with some of that, I would think.
Okay.
A dome
Yeah.
is what they call them. That's, now that you get in conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
you learn about domes, right?
Domes. Well, I mean, there's no doubt that those exist.
They
At
do
least
have.
they
They
date
do
back.
exist.
They date back to the Cold War.
Because you had to have a continuation of government site underground, and I think Cheyenne Mountain, which is near maybe Colorado Springs or somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Denver. Somewhere in Colorado. It's where the one of the continuation of government sites is, and it's so maybe a mile into the mountain or something. It's crazy how deep underground it is.
Yeah.
and you have all these hundreds of people down there working, and I understand you have to have stuff like that, but some people think that this airport connects, and that if something bad goes on, people will be able to fly into the Denver airport and then get in those tunnels and go to the bunker.
It could be. I mean, that it really doesn't even sound far-fetched, because we know that the government has made things like that in the past. All over the world, different governments have done it. So it wouldn't be a surprise if, in fact, that was something that they had done there.
When it was built, Freemasons put a plaque.
Yeah, I thought I remembered something about a Freemasonic plaque. I couldn't remember what it was.
A Masonic plaque. It is, Freemasons are also, some would associate them with the later, short-lived, as somebody said, Enlightenment secret society known as the Illuminati, and now more recently the New World Order. But there was that plaque that was put there for March 19th, 1994, and it says, quote, "Messages and memorabilia to the people of Colorado in 2094." They had a time capsule. And this one article says, quote, "The granite marker depicts the square and compasses symbol of the Freemasons and the names of 2 grand lodges and their grand masters. While some have made much of this, airport officials say it's only evidence of the generosity of the local Masonic lodges that crafted and laid the stone. After all, it's what stonemasons do," unquote. So people are saying, well, why does the Freemasons have a marker? And it is.
I mean, most Freemasons have nothing to do with stone laying, so that's kind of a silly remark. But
I have seen a lot of Freemason markers, so they do make markers for buildings in places.
Yeah.
But what was so interesting about this, the capstone makes mention of a group called the New World Airport Commission.
Yeah.
Now, that group does not exist.
Interesting.
And you have the phrase New World in there, and that makes people think, uh-oh. And there's been various explanations. Some say when the airport was built, there were some people that were local that were part of the, it was going to be a world airport. Denver would be a world airport, so this is the New World Airport.
Okay.
And all that stuff. And some people would even mention a Czech composer, Antonín Dvorak, his New World Symphony and the New World Airport Commission.
Yeah, Dvorak.
So anyway, that kind of makes people think, okay, you got New World Airport Commission doesn't exist yet. There's a marker for that. So
also, that is a little bit curious.
At the east and the west baggage claims area, you got 2 really ugly-looking gargoyles.
Okay.
And they're there, quote, to protect the luggage.
Yeah.
Now, if I need my luggage protected, I sure don't want a gargoyle. I associate them with demons and stuff, and bad stuff.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so you have that. You have Lucifer. You have the underground system of tunnels, and some people say that they have actually seen lizard people down there. Now, the whole lizard people thing is just crazy to me.
I don't go in for that, and I also don't know who would be making that. Who's been down there?
But sometimes they say that there have been episodes where workers have dressed up in lizard outfits.
Just for...
But where do you get a lizard outfit?
I guess Party City. I don't
Party
know.
City, you're probably right. You're probably right. Yeah, when people start talking about the lizard people, I kind of like, I'm like,
Okay, the lizard people thing is I think, pretty ludicrous. Now...
Is that a reference to the rapper?
No, but if you want to know what one is supposed to look like, it's like in the first Mario Brothers movie, the one that didn't get super famous.
Okay.
And Dennis Hopper plays King Koopa, President Koopa in that movie. But there's this one scene where you can see his iris turns into a little lizard iris in his eye.
So he's a lizard person.
But
they believe that we have the lizard overlords, right?
Yeah, so he would literally be like a lizard person.
And I can remember a series that was on TV, it had to be 20 years ago, V, or something like that. And they looked like us, but then when they took off their masks, they were lizard people. And I'm like, why lizard people?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you
understand that?
That it's an online internet conspiracy theory. I don't know what else to say. I mean, unless I see one.
Yeah. What would you do if you saw a lizard person?
It. I guess it would be time to try to do an exorcism or something. I don't know.
You would do an exorcism on a lizard person?
I think I would, yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be what we would need
I
to
think
do,
you
right?
need to, you would definitely need to call on the name of Jesus. Man.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. Now, here the airport itself, Denver International Airport, they've kind of embraced this because they couldn't fight it anymore.
Yeah.
When they're doing construction there, they've put signs like this, quote, remodeling the lizard people's lair. Okay.
See, so they're gonna just make fun of it now, but
Yeah, they're gonna try to make it where, for instance, they'll have a hard hat, a picture of a hard hat with the all-seeing eye and the triangle, and said construction or cover up.
yeah,
And it says, are we creating the world's greatest airport or preparing for the end of the world?
yeah,
And another one says, coming soon, a secret portal to the underworld or streamlined security or another misunderstood mural. And it says, what are we doing? One says, adding amazing new restaurants and bars. Another says, building an Illuminati headquarters. And another says, remodeling the lizard people's lair.
yeah,
So, they're kind of making fun of it. They're kind of going with it. I think one of the places there has an alien as their mascot, a food place. So they even had a talking gargoyle one time, I think,
yeah.
at the airport or something.
Okay.
Also, in the tile of the Great Hall, on some of the, I think, stones there, they have AU and AG. Now, of course, that's the atomic symbols for gold and silver.
Okay.
Some people say, well, it's really an abbreviation for Australian antigen, which is a deadly chemical that some think the Illuminati is going to use to kill people and take over the world.
Okay. I hadn't heard that
I
one.
hadn't heard that either.
But why not just have it be gold and silver?
Well, and it is a mining state.
Yeah.
So you would think, you kind of try to take the most reasonable explanation for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But then there are the murals, the pictures.
To me, that's the craziest part of the whole deal.
Yeah. Leo Tanguma, he was given the license to paint the murals. He painted two of them. One's called Children of the World, Dream of Peace. And in this picture, you got a soldier wearing a gas mask with a machine gun and a sword through a white dove. You have children kind of huddling.
And the soldier, I've seen the mural, and the soldier looks basically like a World War II Nazi soldier.
He does. He's dressed like that. Another depict of murals is called "In Peace with Harmony," in peace and harmony with nature. This shows children mourning the death of three women. So it shows the extinction of numerous animals, and environment burns in the background. While the other section of the mural illustrates the children of the world coming together to rehabilitate and to celebrate nature.
Yeah, and another thing that I remember noticing was interesting about the mural is that the concept of peace that is
it has the rainbow with it too.
It has a rainbow, but the concept of peace that we're seeing is a peace
without Christ.
Without Christ, because Christ isn't in the picture.
Right.
But it's a peace that is under some type of world government.
Yes.
Because you see all of the people in the
world
mural
together.
They're throwing their flags into a big pile.
Yeah.
Like they're getting rid of them. The concept of different countries is being done away with.
Yeah, nationalism's way
so it's
on the way
anti
out.
It's anti-nationalist. It's pro-world government for sure. So that's not a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
That's deliberately what it's about. It's about some type of deliberate getting rid of nation states altogether to dissolve the countries of the world into one big unified world government.
And some people think that for some reason the Illuminati or whoever it is, they have to tell you what they're going to do before they do it.
I've heard that.
It kind of absolves them of responsibility or something. It's kind of something weird like that.
Or either that or it's just some type of a cosmic law they have to follow.
Yeah, the cosmic law.
Yeah.
And so here they are with these murals, and supposedly this guy's just randomly chosen, and he does the mural. And, But
what it really looks like is it's depicting some type of global catastrophe where millions of people are dead.
Yeah.
But then it results in the dissolution of all world governments, world peace under one global government.
Whoever rules that government.
Whoever it is, yeah. But that's what it clearly depicts. I don't think it's right to claim that that's a misunderstanding. It's very clear that that's what it's depicting.
Right.
So, take that for what it's worth. To me, the Denver airport murals
Yeah.
and the whole Denver airport altogether, it reminds me of the late Georgia Guidestones
They got blown up.
that got blown up. So
Where-
they don't exist anymore.
They just appeared, didn't they?
They just appeared mysteriously from a wealthy donor, had them put there, and they called for similar types of things.
And for a great reduction in the world's population.
Reduction in world population, which is probably why it got blown up, because people don't like to be told that they're going to get killed, rightfully so.
Yeah.
But the Denver airport mural kind of makes me think of that sort of thing, this kind of mysterious call for world government in the wake of great human loss of life.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that comes out from there.
Yeah. It's kind of just this agenda.
Yuval Harari and those guys, and Klaus Schwab.
The more you look into all this stuff, this is just kind of the agenda that kind of comes out of it all.
Yeah.
So.
See, with the Georgia Guidestones, they want to maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature.
Perpetual balance.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language.
So that's eugenics.
Yes.
By the way, that's eugenics.
And then unite humanity with a living new language. We want to undo the Tower of Babel.
Basically. Yeah.
Rule, passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts.
So let me tell you why this is a fantasy. There's no such thing as perpetual balance.
Okay.
Any good scientist will tell you there's a reason we cannot build a perpetual motion machine, because all things run down. It's the second law of thermodynamics.
Right. Okay.
Entropy. All energy is always being lost toward unusable forms.
All right.
So this idea that we could live in perpetual balance with nature is unscientific, and the eugenics idea that's on there about, we need to guide reproduction to improve fitness and diversity. Well, that's not how it works. Right. Every time we reproduce, there are new genetic mutations. Each generation gets about, on average, 100 new genetic mutations that the previous generation did not have.
Okay.
And those are just about 100% always bad.
Right.
And so,
we're not mutating up.
We're not mutating up. We're not even able to mutate to stay even. We lose every time. And that means that we are genetically doomed as a race. We, just like it said in Genesis, once you eat of that fruit, then in the Hebrew, it's kind of, the Hebrew gives it more as like a process. So once you eat of that fruit, the process of death will begin.
Yeah.
So, and that's what happened, and we're all in that process.
Well, when you have stuff like the Georgia Guidestones, you have stuff like the Denver International Airport, you have what we did last week on the Black Cube and stuff. People are more and more likely nowadays to at least give somewhat of a hearing to conspiracy theories, more so. And I think some of that is because of what happened in 2020. We won't go into everything that happened in 2020, but we know the big events that happened in 2020.
Right when you said it, I was thinking, well, in 2020, we saw it displayed right on in clear view.
We felt like, in some ways, we were being hoodwinked, snookered.
And and it's kind of like, well, if they will openly and deliberately suppress the truth and lie in that flagrant of a way,
what else are they suppressing?
What else are they lying about? What else are they suppressing?
Yeah, so it
feels like it's just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah, and I know with me, I used to think, well, it's the government. Surely they're looking out for our best interests. Surely they would, whatever.
Yeah.
And now I'm just a little bit more skeptical because I saw things in real time play out.
Yeah.
And you're like, this what they're saying. That doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And want to be careful. We don't want to be censored because we are, Paul, the Uncensored Pilgrims.
Yeah.
And if we say certain things on this podcast, we may get censored or throttled down or whatever. But I think you know what we're talking about. People are more open to at least investigating what used to be referred to as conspiracies.
Yeah.
Now, some of these conspiracies are loony,
Yeah.
but
You have to have discernment. See, a lot of people, they don't have the ability to use discernment and critical thinking.
Yeah.
And so they can't sift out the difference between nonsense and ridiculousness
Yeah.
and something that might be legitimate.
Okay, Paul.
And that's why we have the Flat Earth movement today,
right.
for example.
We have done a podcast on that. You can go
Yeah.
back and listen to
Yeah.
that. So, Paul, if it comes to the Denver International Airport and you drive up and you see a 32-foot blue stallion with red eyes.
With glowing red eyes.
Glowing red eyes.
According to this picture we can see right there, it looks to me like it's glowing.
And it was in honor of his dad who ran a neon sign business down in Mexico, if I've read correctly.
Well, then it probably is glowing.
It probably is glowing. And so you see that when you come in, and then you walk through the Great Hall. You see the symbols for gold and silver. Because, hey, this is a mining place. I understand that. And horses out there because of the Denver Broncos. And, of course, there's a Mustang. It's a gateway to the West, whatnot. So you can kind of say, okay, well, I'll put that in the proper perspective. Then you walk by these murals, and you see the murals. Although the murals are no longer there, if I understand correctly, they have taken them away, and they're going to bring them back in 2028 because there's some restoration and some remodeling going on. If I'm not
Is that right?
If I'm not mistaken, that's correct.
Okay.
But say you were able to see those murals, and then you saw the gargoyles who's guarding your...
I figured they took them away because they were concerned they'd get vandalized, just like the Georgia Guidestones did.
Yeah, could be. And, they could have done that because, there are people going up to these very famous paintings over in Europe, and they're spraying paint on them.
Yeah.
And that's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But if you see all this stuff in an airport, and I think the buildings are kind of shaped weird, and if you start reading up a little bit on it, it might make you think, there may not be lizard people here, but there may be more to this airport than, if they didn't need to build the airport to start out with.
Yeah.
And it's got the longest commercial runway in the nation, I think. The runways themselves, some people make a thing about this. The runways are shaped in the form of a
swastika.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, they say it's just you can take off in 4 different directions, or it makes landing and takeoff easier, accommodate more planes. But then somebody else would say, well, why didn't everybody else's...
Why didn't everybody do it then if it's such a good design?
Why doesn't everybody else do it like that? And so there's a lot of questions. And, when you put all these things together, it's almost like with some of the stuff, are you just adding fuel to the fire? Or are you just deliberately provoking?
I don't know. That's a good question.
But I think in some ways when they embrace it, they're a little they're kind of going along with it. I don't know if that's deliberately provoking, but just saying, hey, we'll just go with it.
Well, what's kind of creepy to me about the Denver airport being the way it is that the Hunger Games
supposed to be in Denver, right?
It's the capital. It doesn't say that anywhere.
Yeah.
But if you kind of take it to its conclusion, it seems like the capital.
Somebody did mention that.
Of the Hunger Games.
Somebody did mention that.
It seems to be Denver.
And, then somebody said the coordinates given in Close Encounters is very near to the Denver airport.
So it's almost like this is like the plan that's being hatched. I don't know.
I have no idea. And we're not saying that.
This is like last week's where it's kind of like it's speculative and there's no way to know for sure what all this is about.
But here's what we do know. We do know, according to the Bible, there will be a one world government. There will be a guy who rules over the world. It'll be the Antichrist. There will be incredible spiritual warfare taking place, even, angelic warfare taking place. It's going to be a charged spiritual environment. It's going to be unleashed. And when you get the abyss opened up, and you get stuff coming out, and you get demonic entities that have been chained up released, I would think that's a little bit of a game changer, Paul. Well, what do you think?
That's a tough one. I don't know. Obviously it is, but in this vision of Revelation that you're referring to, is that abyss physical or spiritual? Or both?
Well, I don't know. Going to be
is there actually going to be a physical abyss that opens at this time, or is that a spiritual vision somehow? I don't know.
I think it's a physical abyss. I believe there's stuff chained that's going to be released.
Yeah. But things could be released in the spirit realm, right?
Yeah.
Like
demonically.
I believe
these are spiritual beings that are going to be released, but there would be physical manifestations
Yeah, that's what I'm.
that would happen because of this.
I'm open to that. I just don't know.
And I think the Antichrist will be a spiritual, but also a physical.
Oh, definitely. The
entity.
Antichrist is going to be a real
And the false prophet.
entity. Yeah.
So, there's some crazy things that's going to happen. When you start seeing governments act in weird ways, and the amount of global coordination
Yeah.
that we saw in 2020,
Yeah. That was shocking.
that was shocking. I mean,
Yeah.
I did not expect that. I didn't know everybody. And now they're trying to pass the WHO pandemic treaty. That in the case of a pandemic, I
World
think,
Health Organization.
yeah, we will all basically abdicate our rights and give our sovereignty to United Nations.
Definitely not in
That's
favor
a
of that.
terrible move.
No way.
I mean, that
No
is
way.
a horrible move. When you actually have stuff playing out on the geopolitical scene, and then somebody says something about a one world government, and then you have a WHO treaty going around, and then you have people from the World Economic Forum talking about stuff like that, then you have to say, well, there may just be a little bit something to this.
Well, and to me, it's laughable how the skeptics.
But that's not saying there's lizard people.
No, I'm very skeptical about the lizard people thing. But these skeptics that want to laugh off all of this stuff and pretend like it's all just fake conspiracy theory, right? Well, is it a conspiracy theory all the times in history when we know attempts have been made to take over the world? Mm-hmm. Was that a conspiracy theory when Adolf Hitler tried to take over the world? Mm-hmm. Or when Napoleon Bonaparte tried to take over the world? Was that a conspiracy theory? No.
They were going to go as far as they could until somebody stopped them.
What about Joseph Stalin? When he did all of these things underhanded, tried to do as much as he could, had all of these secret agents everywhere, is that a conspiracy theory or just an actual conspiracy?
I think one of the things you have to do is, with some of these events in history, you've got to follow the money.
Yeah. But the point I'm making here is, everybody will agree, all these times in the past, people have legitimately tried to take over the world, right? Mm-hmm. But then, when you talk about it happening in the present, then they laugh at you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
And I think
it wasn't crazy when Stalin was doing it.
Yeah.
But now, today, we don't want to believe that anybody could be as bad as Stalin today.
What about your man Xi?
Yeah.
In China. I mean, the Belt and Road and all those things they're doing all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, and them wanting to take over be the reserve currency of the world.
It's like, no, it's the bad stuff is only for the history books. It's never now.
Because we're living in the now and we don't want to think about stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I
have a problem with that because to me that's just so foolish.
Yeah.
If it happened in the past, you better believe it can happen now.
Yeah.
And it is going to happen.
There's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of mind games being played.
You can't. I feel like you cannot believe anything that's being put out on mainstream news.
No,
mainstream
the
media.
CIA has I don't know what kind of the extent of their role.
Yeah,
but we do know
they have a very heavy role
I think from congressional hearings maybe, and from news reports now, the CIA has been more involved with the news and with Hollywood than people would like to think.
Yeah.
Than is comfortable.
Yep.
So and that could have been for good at one time. I say for good because fighting the communists and all that kind of stuff. But now what happens if somebody's taking it and using it in a different direction?
Yeah. Have you seen the Will Smith movie, Gene Hackman, Enemy of the State from the 90s? Mm-mm. Yeah, well, I think you'd like that one. In fact, you need to see that one. Okay. It's a good one.
All right.
I can't think that there's anything particularly objectionable in it. So,
but I did see I Am Legend.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, that's a zombie pandemic movie, man.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I can't get into the zombie movies.
That's on a par with World War Z.
There are two types of movies that I sure cannot get into for whatever reason. I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
Zombie movies and vampire movies.
What about musicals?
I
could not see you watching My Fair Lady or something like that.
I mean, I used to be in it as a trumpet player in high school.
But you weren't like acting and singing.
No, I wasn't acting. I was a trumpet player in the orchestra.
Pit. You were in the pit.
I was in the pit. Yep.
Man.
The pit was opened up.
And
I came out of it.
Man, that's better than me. I was so bad at stuff like that. They just let me do the curtains.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to watch a musical, I think it would be My Fair Lady.
Les Mis is really good.
That's my favorite.
Really? And I just randomly said My Fair Lady.
Yeah, no, it's I like that one the best.
Okay, I like Les Mis. I mean, that's pretty
I don't think
good.
I've seen that one.
A Phantom of the Opera, man. You talk about an ultimate creeper movie. I mean,
yeah, because he's hanging
creeper.
around in the rafters and stuff.
Yeah, and then he's looking in the mirror, and he's just a weirdo, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that's a weird musical. That's one of those musicals when you leave, you just kind of like feel kind of not good.
Okay.
You know,
yeah.
but Les Mis, man, that's even the movie that they did with Les Mis.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, I like that.
For the
French
most part,
Revolution.
I don't really get into the musicals. They're so long, you know. I lose my interest because I'm such a millennial.
Yeah,
so I lose
Fiddler on the
interest.
Roof is good, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
That's If I Were a Rich Man. That's classic.
I've seen The Music Man. I don't like that one
River
much.
City stuff.
I don't like it.
I mean, I think that I tried to watch that one time, and when there was trouble in River City, that's when I knew it was time to leave. I mean, I was like, oh,
that's about the
on.
salesman.
Yeah, I was like, come on, man, I don't want to watch this stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't like that one. But the Greatest Showman, that's a good one.
See, I haven't seen that many of them, really.
You have a beard. Would the
I do
bearded
have a
lady
beard.
in that mess with you?
There's
a bearded lady that sings.
If there's a bearded lady, that's enough reason for me to not watch it right there. Yeah.
All right.
I can't go for that.
Okay. And this was
But they don't call them that anymore, by the way.
Okay.
They just call them transition.
No. But this was really a lady with a beard. This was before all that stuff. But I think it also had Zac Efron. That was in between High School Musical.
And you're trying to tell me that's better?
And the steroids that he's on now for that movie he just did about the wrestlers. So he was kind of medium Zac Efron in that one, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's pretty. I had some good music, but I'm not musical. I had a musical bypass. Remember when I was 5?
Yeah.
So.
Right alongside your mechanical bypass.
Mechanical happened later on, about
okay.
at 6.
Okay.
But musical happened first. Well,
I think if you're a lady, you shouldn't have a beard. That's just my opinion.
I think it was a genetic thing with her or something. I don't know.
Well, I would say if that's the case, then just shave.
Yeah.
I would say shave, but that's just me.
That is you. Yeah, that's a tough one, man.
I would not encourage beard wearing.
But see, as a man,
as a lady,
I can't even grow a beard really. If I try to grow a beard, people would think I was sick.
Mm-hmm.
They would wonder what is going on with me, what I was struggling with. I just can't. I'd look like Confucius or somebody. I could not grow the big beard. I mean, they'd call me Patches. And that's just one of those things in life. But,
so the Denver airport, how do you close up on it? Because it is so speculative.
Yeah.
And we're not going there because it's too expensive to go there. So
I mean, it's like
we're sitting here talking about it, but we haven't been there.
I was looking at $400 for a ticket, man. I want to get one of those Spirit Airlines tickets
for flights. That's cheap these days.
Well, I want one of those Spirit Airlines for $63, man.
We're living under Biden-flation.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about like 1 week's worth of groceries now, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe not quite
one
that.
of those cut rate carriers we flew one time, and man, when your ears start to pop when you're coming down, man, it did that for like 30 minutes.
Really?
I thought I was going to lose my mind.
Was the cabin not pressurized correctly?
Something was wrong with the pressurization in that airplane.
Huh.
And it was one of those things where you see people. You almost wanted to get up out of your seat and just start running through the airplane.
Whoa.
That would have been a bad move.
That might be a bad move.
Especially if there was an air marshal on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably have about 4 or 5 on those cut rate
Plus,
carriers.
It was in the news just this past week. There was there was a bunch of people injured on a flight.
I think one guy got killed, actually.
Well, somebody...
It fell like 6,000 feet.
It fell 6,000 feet, but the reason the person died was heart attack.
Oh, is that why?
It wasn't
he didn't
from
hit his head?
Injury. It was from heart attack. But lots of people did go to the hospital with injuries.
That's why I said wear your seatbelt.
So, yeah. Getting up and running around in the aisle might be a bad plan all around.
I should just deal with it.
You need to be seated with your seatbelt on for sure.
Yeah, give me about 10 sticks of...
But, it's interesting. When this came out in the news, it hit me, and I was wondering why. Because I had a wrong understanding of air turbulence. And I thought that what was happening, like if you're in a boat and you go over a wave and all of a sudden there's no water underneath you and you free fall.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought air turbulence was.
Isn't it a downdraft though?
Yes, you're right. But I thought it was like hitting a wave and then there's no water under you and so you free fall till you hit the water again.
Right.
That's what I thought. And so I thought, well, if that's what's happening, why are people hitting the ceiling? Yeah. Shouldn't everything be free falling together?
Is that free fall in the song?
No.
Okay.
Physically. Shouldn't everything free fall together if that's what's happening?
Yes.
And the answer is yes, but free fall isn't what's going on there.
You being forced down.
The airplane is being forced down.
Yeah.
And if you're not connected to the airplane, if you're not buckled in, then obviously what's happening is the airplane is going down faster than gravity. It's being pushed down faster than gravity.
Yeah.
And so you not being buckled in your seat, you're only going to fall at the speed of gravity. But if the plane is going down faster than gravity, the plane is going to hit you.
Yeah.
And so that's what's happening when people aren't buckled in. The ceiling is hitting them.
Yeah.
They're not hitting the ceiling.
Yeah. See, I had a seminary
It's a
professor,
downdraft. Yeah.
He flew on some of those aircraft during World War II. I don't think he was a pilot. I think he was one of the crew members of one of these big bombers in World War II in the Pacific.
That was.
And he talked about how many planes they lost from the downdrafts. I mean, it was a staggering number of planes.
Wow.
Yeah, from the turbulence, from the downdrafts, and all that. But that was very interesting. But with the Denver International Airport, there's enough there to make you think, this is a little bit unusual.
It's like they always have some kind of, to use the technical term, plausible deniability.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that's what you use in the courtrum, right, Paul?
Yeah, or in government.
In government.
Plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability. Okay.
I was taught that in college when I studied, international affairs.
Yeah.
They talked about it.
Plausible deniability.
Something that governments and the CIA deliberately engineer.
Yeah.
They want to do something, but then they want to have some cover story to where they can deny that they're doing it.
And sometimes when you hear some of these fact checkers or some it's even from PBS did a special and others, and the way they kind of talk about it, sometimes it comes across as scripted.
Yep.
Kind of like, okay, you are trying to make this sound like if you think there's something to this, you're a foolish person, and this is crazy, but we're going to humor you and all that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm thinking, well, y'all are the ones putting this weird stuff out there.
Yeah. C.S. Lewis actually predicted that very thing all the way back, in the earlier 20th century when he wrote the book, That Hideous Strength. It was the third and final book in his space trilogy.
That's called. Not a Paralandra and all that, is it?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Silent Planet?
Yeah. Out of the Silent Planet is the first one.
Stephanie's actually reading me that book right now.
Cool. It's a good book.
Yeah.
I like that book. But that's the first one, Out of the Silent Planet. Second one, Paralandra. And the third one is interesting because it's set on Earth.
Yeah.
And it's really very different from
About
the first
ransom.
two. Yeah. And the third one is That Hideous Strength. Mm-hmm. But it's all about...
Isn't there a head?
I think there's a disembodied head.
Yeah.
But I can't remember now. But it's been years since I read it. But it does have this... It does kind of predict this way that powerful media organizations deliberately plant stories and deliberately craft public opinion.
Right.
So
we're being played.
Yeah, we're being played. So
okay, but you're not being played on the Uncensored Pilgrims.
No, we're telling you.
We're telling you straight up.
We're giving it to you as it is.
Straight butter.
Best we can figure it out anyway.
Yes. Well, we want to thank y'all for being with us today on this episode of the Uncensored.
Yeah, and if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. And why don't you tell us in the comments something about the Denver International Airport?
Yes.
So clue us in, because it's.
And if you don't follow us on YouTube. Yeah. Subscribe to us and tell some of your friends to subscribe to us.
We should have said this at the beginning because now we've lost like 80% or more.
Let's don't say that. Let's don't let people know we've lost 80%.
Oh, okay. But yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time on the Uncensored Pilgrims. And we need to let you know that the views that we express on this podcast belong to Marty McLain and Paul Price. They are our views. They do not reflect the views of anyone else. And with that said, we hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the podcast.